Welcome back all. Today's topic will be loops, and this will be a sort of a mini chapter. I have already shown you some of them and how to use them. Basically, I needed to because some other concepts were rather difficult to demonstrate without loops. They're basically constructs that repeat some sort of actions for a certain number of iterations. That number of iterations is usually defined with some sort of a condition, and as long as that condition is true, loop will continue to iterate through the list of commands and execute them. We have three different loop constructs in Bash. That is the for loop, while loop, and until loop. The last one I didn't show you actually. I don't believe that I showed it to you anywhere, but don't worry, we will go over it here. So we will go through each of these actually and describe how to use them. Also, I will talk about how to control loops using break and continue commands, and in the end, I need to also go through case and select constructs, which are not actually loops, but they still do control the flow of command execution. Now, some of the things I will skip a little bit because I don't feel like repeating myself over and over, and I'm sure that you don't want me to do so either. Anyway, in regard to the for loop, what I wanted to demonstrate here is a nested form of a for loop. This is a fairly common concept to use and a quite a necessary one. So if I type in, for example, for I in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, do echo out outer loop, and let's go ahead and use this one. This will be the number of iterations, and I would like it to stick out, so I'm just gonna place a bunch of dashes here, and done. But within this loop, I can go ahead and create yet another one. I can type in for j in 1, 2, 3, and again we shall write do go out inner loop dash j. Done. And also I would like to make another point here, which will be, how shall we mark this one? Let's go ahead and like outer loop iteration dash I. Excellent. So now we have two loops, and at this point of time, if possible at all, it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to actually pause the tutorial and think about what sort of an output will you get on the screen. So how will this actually play out? What will you get from this? How will this execute? Will it execute one iteration of this loop and then one iteration of this loop and then go around? Or will it execute one iteration of this loop and all the iterations of this loop for this many times? Just, if you want, feel free to pause the tutorial and think about it. Don't look it up on the net immediately. Just try to think about it and to figure it out, to visualize it. If you fail or make an error, or if you don't do it, it's perfectly fine. I'm going to go ahead and explain it to you anyway, so just sit back and relax. Let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. And as you can see, it goes through the for loop first, the outer one that is, and it says outer loop, first iteration, and then these dashes that I've placed here. Okay. And then it goes into the inner loop, and it goes 1, 2, 3, so through all three iterations, and it says outer loop iteration 1. So the I does not change values while this is actually running. It can if we specify it, but yeah, that's a subject for another day. However, you see, this is printed out. This for loop has to be finished before machine can actually exit out of it and go back into the outer one. Then the outer one runs again, as you can see, outer loop, iteration number 2, and then we go back into the inner one, complete the inner one to the fullest of extents, and then we go back to the outer, and then again 1, 2, 3, and then the outer once, and then the inner 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth, in a repeating pattern of a sort. Those are one of the things that I wanted to really demonstrate here, and how you can actually pass the variables to the for loop in terms of creating the outer, the inner, and you can nest them on pretty much on end. As I said, this is an important concept. Keep it in mind. You will, if you ever plan on using Bash, and I'm guessing that you are because you're looking at this tutorial, nested loops will be indispensable to you. Okay, so in the follow-up tutorial, we will go over the while loop. I've decided to separate them like this instead of making one lengthier video encompassing pretty much everything. Rather, instead, I shall just split them up one by one. I do believe that it will be better organized in such a fashion.